third position is not as hard as you may think, although there are a few steps to get to third position. And I'm going to teach you exactly how to be in tune in third position, some of the notes and the fingertip placement in third position. So stick around. Let's talk about the easy way to get up to third position. So when you are in first position, this is what first position looks like. You are at the very, very bottom of the fingerboard, and you're going to be shifting up this way. So there are a few ways to go about that. There are a couple different types of shifts that, if you're not familiar with, I'll just explain it to you. There is a direct shift and an indirect shift. And in this exercise to get up to third position, we're going to be using a direct shift. A direct shift means that you're using a specific finger to shift up to a particular position. And in this case, third position. What we're going to do right now is we're going to actually narrow this shift down even more. So we'll use our first finger, make sure your B natural is in tune, and we're going to be shifting up to the D. So we're going to go from B to the D and back down. And here's another bird's eye view of what that shift will look like. It looks simple. I get it. But there's actually a lot that's happening in that shift up to third position. So let's talk about it. So you want your first finger to be relaxed. You don't want to be pressing or forcing the finger into the fingerboard, because that will restrict the motion going into third position. That's number one. The second thing I want to talk about is just having that pathway with your left elbow, so that way you have a fighting chance to get up to third position. A lot of students who are working on getting up to third position oftentimes forget about that left elbow, that you got to swing that left elbow in, and then you have to make sure you create that pathway for yourself. That to me is the biggest factor in achieving a good shift to third position. So bring your left elbow in, and then you created this pathway underneath the violin, and you don't have to do anything more than just move the arm with the shift. The fingers do not shift. The fingers simply follow whatever the arm is doing. So you may notice there's a little bit of wrist motion as I shift down to the B natural. That is because I'm letting my arm and my wrist move back first, and you may notice that I'm going to give you a closer look. That finger kind of moves back a little bit, and then it shifts. It doesn't shift in the finger box motion this entire way. There's got to be a little bit of give. You can see how my finger kind of drags back, and that goes for all the fingers, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Although 4 is not a very popular finger to shift on with a direct shift, so I don't recommend that. But 1, 2, and 3. You definitely could do that. So to go back, that is the best way to get up to third position. Once you're in third position, that is your D. That is your main point. So you can also practice this on the D string, on the G string, and on the E string. And the simple way to do it is just to do a scale, a D major scale from 1. So let's try that together. Easy peasy, making sure that your notes are nice and firm on the fingerboard, onto the string, so you can get that very clear intonation. Now, the question you may have is, do I do finger pads or fingertips? I believe when you're first starting out, you should really try to get an accurate intonation. So in that case, fingertips. Fingertips on third position will definitely help you get better intonation. So you want to place the fingers firmly on the string. You see that my fingers are nice and firm, although they're not pressing for dear life. And I'm also not pressing this way. I see this very, very often where the student, they press down and then they drag the knuckles below the fingerboard and the neck. We don't want that because all of a sudden your intonation is going to suffer and your balance on top of the string will suffer. So you want nice firm fingers. In terms of intonation with the fourth finger, you may have noticed that I'm using a pinky tip versus a pinky pad. I recommend using pinky pad in first position because the whole steps are a lot farther away from each other. The moment you go into third position, you are shortening the string length. So the half steps and the whole steps actually get smaller. So when I play, you can see that my pinky and my third finger are really close to each other. And we want that. We want that accuracy in third position. So if I'm playing, if I use a pinky pad, you can hear that there's a slight adjustment towards being sharp. So if I do pinky tip, I get a more accurate tone. Another great exercise in third position for intonation and clarity is to do this exercise. So you're just gonna figure out that D, and then you're gonna just tap the second finger over and over again after the one. So and the idea is that you're trying to put that second finger down in the exact same spot every single time. That's really hard to do if you're trying to really listen, because a lot of students, the second finger goes all over the place. As long as you can keep that second finger intonation consistent, which in this case is our E, that is going to really help you a lot, folks. So you want to get that accuracy on the fingertip, and that's why I suggested you do fingertip first when you're practicing intonation in third position. So 1, 2, and then of course you can do the same thing, 2, 3. That's F sharp, but if you want to try that half step, you can do E to F. But if you're starting out, if you're learning, I recommend that F sharp because you're so used to that spacing between second and third finger. And then you can also do the same exact intonation exercise with the third and fourth finger. And here's a bird's eye view of what that might look like when you're doing this particular exercise. See how my fingers are all over the fingerboard. We don't want them to be out here because then it'll be really hard and then you'll end up reaching, especially with that pinky. We want to avoid that. Make sure that your knuckles are closer to the fingerboard, that they're above the string, and you have more control over your fingerboard. Now also pay attention to how my thumb is placed. Some teachers recommend the thumb a little bit farther up, again, across the second finger. It really doesn't matter as long as you find comfort in this third position. I sometimes switch between the first finger and the second finger. It's a very small detail, but I definitely wouldn't go all the way back here. I definitely wouldn't go all the way up here. I see students go all the way up close to the third finger, and I'm not saying it's forbidden. There are certain applications if you're playing like a Paganini Caprice that your third finger is all the way up here, so that way you can reach back. I can see in that application. But in this scenario, we're just trying to go around first and second finger. And then you can do this exercise, of course, on all the other strings. And then as you go to the G string, you might notice that my knuckles kind of went this way. That's because I brought my left elbow underneath even more. So that way I can really try to go for those fingertips. Especially that pinky. That's going to be something you might want to consider practicing. Then the E string, of course, is the easiest one. Just making sure you get those fingertips really nicely done. That's going to really help you a lot. Now, this video is definitely an oversimplification of the nuances of third position. The main thing that you have to remember if you take anything out of this video is making sure that your fingertips are nice and firm on the string so that you are really capturing the correct note. And it goes without saying that you want to have a good sound as you are practicing. So that's more of a right hand issue. If you're experiencing like a scratchy, screechy sound, double check that, because maybe even though you have firm fingers on the left hand, you may be suffering with the sound because that could be a right hand issue with your bow. So make sure you are exploring that option as well. And thirdly, make sure that you are also doing these exercises. They're very simple, making sure that you're tapping the finger over and over again, trying to establish the same pitch as you approach the fingerboard with this finger. You could be wondering, well, I'm not sure if I'm actually playing the right note. Well, I would recommend that you get a free tuner in whatever app store you use, whether it's Google Play or the App Store or an Apple. Get yourself a tuner. Make sure that whatever tuner you get has the ability to have a strings setting, because sometimes you have guitar settings and string settings. Make sure that it's towards a violin tuning, 440 or 441 or 442, depending on what region you live in. And try to tune that second finger. For example, if I'm playing on the A string, first finger in third position, which is a D, playing that second finger over and over again, and try to tune it with the needle being right in the dead center. To me, that is the most effective way to be in tune. It's not a very glamorous way. I admit, it's not very glamorous, but it certainly does the job long term. If you like this video, thanks for watching to the end. My name is Eric, and I'm a violinist dedicated to helping you become a better violinist. If you liked this video, if you want to share it with someone, please do so. I make these violin videos for you, so that way you have access to this information. And if you're not a subscriber, please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification, so that way you get notified for when new videos come out. I have a bunch of videos on the channel to help you become a better violinist. I have a bunch of videos that help you become a better violinist. So I want you to take a look at some of these videos over here and over here.